provides that we'll be covering today is three important things. One is how to have your up-to-the-second cash position, so that how much cash do you really have? Because the bank doesn't know. The bank doesn't know about outstanding checks. The bank doesn't know about outstanding deposits, but you know that those are going to come to fruition at some point in the future. It's also important to know that what your up-to-the-second cash position is, because that's how you validate your balance sheet. And one thing I talk about all the time is validate the balance sheet. Thou shalt validate the balance sheet. And this is how you do that. The latest version of AccountMate, from AccountMate SQL 9.2 and 9.3, it has also the ability to import transactions from your bank so that you have, it will automatically mark them as cleared. And if you're running hundreds or thousands, or in some client cases, tens of thousands of checks per month, hugely, hugely, hugely beneficial to have this match up and do that clearing for you. You still get to review it, but it takes a lot of the tedium away. And I'll be demonstrating that today. Finally, the bank reconciliation module includes a function industry standard called positive pay, which is how you report checks to the bank of what has been written. So we're going to cover all of these in a little bit of detail in a half an hour. Everybody knows I'm from the South, and I try and talk fast to cover a Southern accent, and we'll be trying to do that here. Also, we'll record this so that it'll be on the Nextland website, and I'll get an email link out to everybody on that shortly. One of the things that you have now, whether you have the bank reconciliation module or not, is in the executive summary, showing up to the second cash position. And the executive summary is along the top bar of AccountMate. Right up here, looks like a little three-dimensional graph. So that will actually give you a quick glance to show you what is the current balance, and then what deposits and checks are outstanding whenever you drill down here. But that's not quite a report. You also have some level of visibility as to where you're at on the bank maintenance screen under Maintenance Bank Account, which is available in many modules: accounts receivable, accounts payable, sales order, etc. In the bottom right, if you're keeping up on everything, it will show current balances here as well. The biggest thing that this gains you, though, is the bank reconciliation report. This is the report that you put in the big pile of reports for month end. And it has a detail page of outstanding checks and deposits. It has a summary page showing the previous statement balance, what deposits and checks are, and then down to what your calculated book balance is, including any outstanding amounts. So the bank reconciliation report is the go-to report for being able to validate cash. Now, everybody's familiar with, if you've seen the bank reconciliation module at all, you've seen the normal lists of transactions, so that when you go in to reconcile the bank account, it knows what the date and amount of your last statement was. You put in your new date of your latest statement and amount. And then on the detail tab, I've blown that up here. You'll see we're on the detail tab. It's showing right here what all of the outstanding amounts are. And normally you go through here and you check those off. However, new functionality since version 9.1, or 9.2 and 9.3 rather, is that there's a configuration file you can set up inside of AccountMate. One time you have to go through and configure and map the fields so that this is the format that the file is in, and then we define that here inside of an import bank transactions setup screen. That being here under transactions, import, and then import bank transaction setup. And it's showing things like how many columns we have, what line the import starts on. That needs to be a 2 actually, and then what the column definitions are. We then map those. Once I say the date field is a date format, the debit field is a numeric, things like that, we then map these to AccountMate values on what these are. And I was tricky whenever I named these. You get to make your own names here. I made them kind of match what I was going to match them to. If there's any conversion required, and then finally, you can actually import a, oh, I need to hit the lookup here. You can actually grab a file real fast to oh, I need to have that file at my fingertips here in just a second. We can actually grab that file and import it. Let me look it up real fast and validate our format. Okay. Oh, .csv. And we see all the values coming in, mapping. So when it comes time after that one single setup, we go to an import bank transactions file. We select the bank. We select the import code that was defined. We select the import file, and we hit import. And all the stuff comes in, and if we're lucky, it all looks blue. Anything that isn't blue means, hey, we need to go find it. We need to go figure out what the issue is. So import bank transactions. I'll use the bank. And so this is how easy it is. I could have gone to the file select here. So it pulls in and pulls in all the values. And I just hit save. Major errors found. Where's my major error? Oh, this one. Oh, that's because I forgot to change that to start on line 2. Because I have a header file. I hadn't hit save on that. Okay, all lines are blue. Import process says, may take a while. This is a small data set. So it's imported checks, it's imported deposits. And importantly, now that we've gone through this, now when I go to the reconciliation screen, it's going to show the matched transactions here. Imported transactions have a red dot. And if you can tell on the screenshot here, they're matched in blue. We can match additional transactions in case there's some that we find that it didn't match. In this sample right here, I had it not match deposits. And I'll show you how we can match deposits by doing a click select on them. So now under the standard reconcile bank account, you get down here. And the amount time after. So now on the detail tab, I hit my selection criteria and import all transactions, and we see a huge number of transactions here have come in matched. And if I go to transaction number, I can see where it is matched a great number of these. It did not match on my import. It did not match this capital 1 here. So I can click and control click and match. Now that I see that these guys are equal. I can do this also with a handful with my deposits. Oh, did I get that? I didn't get that. Here's one. I need those two. So this matching process now gets pretty simple. And here in just a second, we'll have a fully reconciled bank account. So that now I have my number of checks that I selected on the criteria screen and number of deposits. So this is admittedly a small fake data set here, but you know, I didn't configure this to the point to match the deposits so that I could show you how those match. And so at this point, I looked at my piece of paper and put in the date and the ending balance. I selected the deposits, which normally I would have it do that automatically. I save. It says it's been reconciled. Do you want to finalize the reconciliation? Yes, I do. Bang. All those 17 checks, untouched. Very handy. If you have hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of checks, this saves hours. I didn't go to a piece of paper with a little pencil and make little check marks, anything like that. Again, anything outstanding will show as well. So that's how the automatic clearing process works. Finally, the last feature to look at is fraud prevention using positive pay. The most recent report by the Association for Financial Professionals was done in April 2014. JP Morgan sponsored the report showing 60% of organizations were exposed to actual or attempted fraud in 2013. And far and away, the most common method of fraud is fake checks because they are so simple to create. Once upon a time, checks were tough to make. You know, they had colorful backgrounds and complicated logos. They had possibly very small detailed text. Today, you know, any teenage kid with, you know, a fairly, you know, with $100 printer from a local office supply store can make a really good looking fake check. And all it takes is account numbers for automated systems to clear those. What positive pay is where after you make a check run, AccountMate creates a file to say, these are the checks that have been written, these are the check numbers, these are the check amounts, this is the check date. And your bank will then import that file to their systems, and when checks are presented to them for clearing, they bounce it against your list, and if it's not on the list, they contact you and say, hey, we've got a check here that you didn't tell us you wrote. Please confirm or deny that this is a valid check. We've had numerous clients pick this up after a fraud incident. Typically, the bank will eat the first incident of fraud, but that's not always the case. But after there's one case of fraud passes, they will often mandate that you provide them a positive pay file. There are numerous, of course, every bank has their own little format of how they want it. There's definitely no industry standard on setting this up. But there are numerous formats built into AccountMate on the bank maintenance screen. Oh, let me get back. I was headed for AccountMate. There are numerous formats built in on the positive pay. Bank of America, LaSalle, Wachovia, Fifth Third, and these are very easy to add additional formats. We do this all the time, and it does not require source code in order for us to create those new formats. And so you define it here, tell where to write the file, you give it a name, give it a batch number, and then after a check run, I keep clicking on the wrong spot here, sorry gang. After a check run, you generate your positive pay file. And you just say it would be for, say, today. And you can do it for a particular bank. And you generate the file, you've got the file. That's then uploaded on a website, secure website that your bank provides. So those are the 3 quick benefits of bank reconciliation. It's kind of the overlooked module that a lot of people might still be doing manually. You get your up to the second cash position and reports to validate the balance sheet with. The bank reconciliation module greatly simplifies your reconciliation process, particularly in the latest versions where you have these automatic clearing of transactions. I've gotten gifts in the mail from clients after configuring that, turning literally, a 6-hour day into a half an hour. Finally, the bank reconciliation module is required in order to generate positive pay files, which is a very handy thing to have. I want to mention real fast that if you're completely unfamiliar with the bank reconciliation module, it is enabled in the National Office Supply Sample Company. So you can jump in and you can look around. Of course, I'm available if anybody would like a personal demo or to discuss further, but you can roll up sleeves and play with it yourself. So there's the benefits. Now let's get to the cost. The bank reconciliation module for AccountMate's SQL is $1,500. For SQL Express or LAN systems, it's $1,000. And then the first year, it's prorated to coincide with your annual software maintenance agreement. And really then, you're off to the races. You might need our assistance to configure the automated clearing import. You might need our assistance to define a new positive pay type, but both of those are really quick efforts. So this is a very simple module to spin up. We also, whenever spinning up bank reconciliation, your system will have all of your historical checks in there. It thinks they're outstanding because you've never cleared them. We would probably have a little bit of data cleanup on that as well. But again, it's quick. It's an hour or so to get all of your history correct. So that is the bank reconciliation module. And I should see if anybody's forwarded any questions here. I'm not seeing anything. Michael, I told you I would talk fast, and I think I did.
You did, Kevin. That's excellent. In terms, I have a question as our attendees perhaps are thinking of questions that they can ask. In terms of the setup on the positive pay, when you define new bank formats, Kevin, is that something that you have to do, or can an administrator within the company do that?
Defining a new format, as I often say, that takes a geek. The definition, this positive pay format is actually a subroutine inside of a routine inside AccountMate. So it's writing code. Now it's not complicated code if you're a geek, and often there's an existing format which closely resembles, different banks will have different fields in different orders. So often we can take, an existing format, and which we're familiar with all of the ones that are built in. There's a half a dozen built in, and we just tweak those. But that does take a geek.
Okay, so just to validate, if I wanted to add Citibank to my list of banks,
yeah,
basically it's something that you would have to configure.
Correct. Yeah, NextLand would write, there's no Citibank here. You would get the positive pay format from your Citibank representative, forward that to us. In half an hour, 45 minutes, there would now be a new option here called Citibank.
Gotcha. So that speaks to the value of having a qualified business partner do that work and making sure that it's done correctly.
Yep, yep, and experience. This is all about experience. We've done a dozen different banks at this point. There's only so many ways to ask for a handful of pieces of data. They might want it in Excel. They might want it in comma-separated values. One wanted it in a pipe delimited format. Okay, no sweat. Those are all easy.
Audience, now is your chance to ask any questions of Kevin. Again, you can do this by entering those in the questions dialog box in the GoToMeeting window. If there are no further questions, you can always email Kevin at nextland.com. Also, as a reminder, this session is being recorded, and it'll be available on the Nextland website for your convenience to review. And we encourage you to pass it along to your colleagues at your place of business. Looks like, Kevin, we don't have any questions, so this will conclude our presentation for today. We
Great.
appreciate
I'll just sit back and wait for everyone to implement BankRec now.
There you go. There you go. Well, we appreciate everybody attending today. Thank you, and everybody have a good day.
Yep. Bye-bye.